How are you guys? Welcome to another Thursday. We are continuing, I say continuing, just because you're speaking don't mean you can speak over me. As those of you who came last week will know, we just started, it's not a series per se, but we are reintroducing all of the YAM servants. Because there are a number of us, and it annoys me when I've asked people and they've said to me there are only 3. So, Maggie does a lot of the background work in YAM that most of you don't ever see. She's the one who organizes nearly every week the food that we enjoy on Thursdays. She handles a lot of the admin and stuff that we do in the background for events, ish. But she also has 3 kids, so we cut her some slack most of the time. Nevertheless, she is a YAM servant, so please give her your undivided attention and respect, and give it up for Maggie. Woo! Go on, tell them who you work for. Go on, that'll help.
No, well, I do a lot of presentations at work. This is the first time I've got all this gear and I'm so nervous. There's like a camera in my face. At work, I'm usually just sitting down with like a screen. So this is really awkward for me. So I'm really sorry if I don't deliver as good as possible. I also put a hoodie and jeans on.
Put this somewhere.
No, you can't touch me.
That's what I'm saying. Can you put it on?
I have 3 kids.
I didn't even I said, can you put it on?
I didn't want you to know I had 3 kids. That's why I wore like a hoodie and jeans.
So you look cool today.
Yeah, I look cool.
Yeah, like
I have 3.5 kids. Yeah, half husband, half kid. But yes, I'm Maggie.
You're online.
And I am actually so offended no one knows who I am.
I don't know who you are.
Okay, it is down to me, and I'm sorry, and I promise that I will make more of an effort, public confession, that I will try to be more present. But yes, I am one of the servants. If you do need anything, let me know. If you want to help with food, we always need people to make food. You can be reimbursed. You can cook if you're a good cook. If you make good cakes, you can just make a cake. Whatever you feel like doing, just help and let me know. No, I know, but I just thought I had to get that in there because... But yes, I work for Apple, so I'm not used to this tech. I'll just put it out there. If this presentation doesn't work, it's not my fault. But let's see how we go. Okay, fine, let's start. So the presentation today is about hidden sins. Hidden sins being sins that we don't necessarily see as sins, some that we don't actually think we're doing wrong. And maybe our intention is not negative. You know, most of us in the morning, we don't wake up and think, oh, I'm going to kill someone or hurt someone, or I'm going to go down the road and punch someone in the face. We don't think like that, right? Those are big sins, let's say. But there are sins that we sort of wake up in the morning and we're like, yeah, I'm just going to have a normal day at the office, normal day at school. And those sins are ones that we don't even recognize their sins. And that's why they're a problem, because what a shame it would be for us to lose our salvation for something so small that we didn't even recognize we were doing and we didn't even mean to do. And that's why I thought it would be good to highlight them. And I've picked gossip, greed, and pride, hence the title. And we'll just kick off straight away with a role play, but we'll kick off with a role play. So let's start. Guys, I have 4 volunteers. Let's go. Behind me.
2.
You need a mic. You're 2. I'm sorry. Fine, huh? So should I move or not move? Just take. Fine, let's start. I'm going to stop halfway and we'll have a chat. Not halfway, a few times actually, and we'll have a chat at each point. This, I'm just going to caveat, this is not to embarrass anyone. These are conversations that I've had that I've been part of myself. And it's not to make anyone feel bad. It's literally just things that I think happen every day, especially in our community, right? And there's no right or wrong answer. So each discussion, please put your hand up, tell me what you think. Let's go.
That meeting was so long, but honestly, Abuna explained things really well.
Stop.
How could I have missed it already?
You didn't, it's good. Is that gossip? Abuna, what was it? Abuna?
Explain things really well.
Is that gossip? Is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? I'm not, there's no right or wrong, I'm asking. No, anyone think is... Yeah, we need the mic. Do we have mic? Yeah. Anyone think it is a bad thing? No? Any of it? Yeah. Okay, that's a fair
I
point.
want to explain
This
things
is
really.
so accurate. Servants meeting 3 p.m. on Sunday. That's the first thing.
Louder, yeah. Come on. Next. Okay, carry on. Let's go.
Yeah, except, did you notice how late Peter was again?
I like how you put Peter because we ain't got Peter.
I mean, ChatGPT did this roleplay. I'm going to say it out there. But it's a good one.
Again? That's like his spiritual gift at this point.
Maybe he had work.
No, I'm not judging. I'm just concerned. He's been different lately. He barely serves anymore.
True, and I heard he skipped liturgy last Sunday too.
Yeah, but don't say anything. You know how sensitive he is.
Okay. Is that gossip?
Everyone nods.
Anyone think it's not? What makes it gossip? Peter's not there. Anything else?
Judgmental.
It's not something good. Anything else? Judgmental? What about, Monica said she was concerned. It's just concern. It's not like, she wasn't saying anything bad. She's saying, did you know he was late? I am concerned about him.
If she's concerned, she should speak to Peter, not her friends.
Okay? What if Peter's not there because he didn't come to church? She hasn't seen him in a few weeks.
God, phone. Phone.
Okay, carry on, let's go.
The next one?
Yeah.
I mean, we should pray for him. Sometimes when people start missing church, it means something's wrong spiritually.
Exactly. I heard he's been hanging out with some people from outside church a lot.
How do you know that?
Oh, someone mentioned it. I don't know details. I'm not spreading any.
I mean, it would explain a lot.
Explain what?
Nothing, just, vibes.
Vibes. No, I'm with you.
Okay, is that bad? Is that gossip? Has it got worse now?
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, take it seriously. Why is it? What's different this time? Why is this one gossip? So Monica's actually concerned, but the guys are taking it too far. So is Monica's concerned? That's not really gossip, is it, or is it? Why is she telling the guys? Anyone think that it is just concern? It's not gossip.
No.
Right, let's go. Last
Gossip.
bit.
Once.
Come on.
We should really keep an eye on him, especially if he's serving the younger kids.
Wait, has he done something wrong?
No, of course not. God forbid. I was just saying, better to be cautious.
Yeah, we don't want a bad influence.
Okay, let's stop. Okay, so has it progressed, right? It's got worse. Are they calling him a bad influence, or are they genuinely concerned about the kids or his service or whatever it is? Is that a real fear? Could you be concerned about your Sunday school children or the influence that one of your servants is going to have on the rest of the kids? Right? So is that gossip, though? Still gossip?
Yeah, because it's completely unfounded.
What are these his friends or his Sunday school friends?
Both.
That's gossiping, I'll be honest with you.
Well,
Those
I
kind
think.
of questions lead to gossip.
Okay, thank you. Just sit down. There's a little bit more for after.
Man, not going to clap for us.
No, there's more coming.
Yeah, but I want to clap every time.
Okay, so in this instance, did anyone lie? Not really. They just said he's not there. Were people genuinely concerned? Do we think there was genuine concern? Yes. Did anyone talk directly to Peter? And that's key. No. Yeah, so actually what's happened is maybe Monica was genuinely concerned. Maybe she was. And maybe she didn't mean to gossip. And she did not mean for it to progress or all the judgment that came after that. Maybe that wasn't intentional. But what happened was, just by asking a few questions or stating a few facts, actually, he's not here, that sort of escalated into this big thing about who he's hanging around with, what his influence would be, who he is as a person, and it got quite deep quite quickly, right? And Mark, the one who was kept asking questions, you know, what has he done anything wrong? What has he done? What are you talking about? He's not really gossiping, maybe, because he's genuinely just asking. He doesn't know. But how can probing questions lead to gossip in itself? How could that in it and of itself be wrong? By him asking so many questions, it just opens the door and it continues a conversation that maybe could have been shut down straight away, right? So even though the truth was there, he hasn't been attending church, that didn't come out with love, did it? Because if it did, if there was love there, it wouldn't have passed through as judgment. Do you see how quickly it escalated into that? So anyway, the point is, yes, it is gossip, because, and actually the point, even the beginning, when Mina mentioned Abuna explaining things really well, that is kind of gossip. And I tell you why. A, Abuna wasn't there, like you said, Abuna, that's true. But also, it could have developed differently. Somebody else could have chipped in and said, oh, I don't really think so. Last week, Abuna Mina spoke about the same thing and he didn't explain it as well as Abuna Ma, for example. It could have opened doors for other things. So if that topic was explained well, maybe we could have just said something, Mina could have just said something like, I really like talking about forgiveness in Sunday school. It makes me think X, Y, Z. Not mention anything about Abuna's explanation, maybe use some of Abuna's talk as his own, that's absolutely fine. But the fact that he mentioned Abuna sort of introduced gossip as well, and I think that's key. And that's why gossip's a hidden sin, right? It talks about someone not present. It assumes intentions without fact. So the fact was, like we said, Peter wasn't at church, but here we go again, assuming all the intentions as to why. It disguises judgment as concern. So, and that's internal, that's not just outwardly. Sometimes, you know, like we said, Monica could be genuinely concerned, but with that comes her judgment. And that judgment is where the sin lies. And that's why it's a hidden sin. It damages someone's image and it feels social, right? You feel like you're doing a responsible thing. You're saying to other people, you know, let's pray for them. You've turned around what prayer should be going upwards towards God, and you've actually turned it around to the community. And realistically, if you say to pray for someone, you don't need to explain why. And us as people, we don't need to ask why either, because God knows. You know, if I say pray for Margaret, or Maggie, sorry, you don't need to know what she's doing, what's happened. God knows. You're just going to go and pray for Maggie, like blindly. You don't need to know the ins and outs, and God knows exactly what's going on and what he needs to do, right? So that's another reason why probing questions isn't necessarily right. And it's hard. And I know that. And like I said, I've been in some of these conversations. I've delivered some of these conversations myself. So I completely understand it's hard. But that's why I think it's important for us to understand that it is a hidden sin. We don't mean it. We don't wake up saying, oh, I'm going to badmouth Peter. It literally just evolved into that naturally without us realizing. And in society today, it's quite easy because on social media, I might post something about me in Disneyland and it's Sunday or it's Good Friday and I should be at church, and I've opened up doors for everyone to say, oh, she's at Disneyland, she's not at church. And it's very easy by me oversharing. You can assume that I don't mind you talking about me, right? I've put it on there, I've made it quite blatant what I'm doing. So you would assume, okay, Maggie doesn't mind me telling everyone she's at Disneyland because she's put it on there herself. But again, falls back to gossip because it's just not our place. Right? And that's why it becomes harder with social media, with things a bit more public. And having said that, our gossip becomes more permanent. So when we forward on a message or forward on a story to someone else, it suddenly becomes digital. And when it's digital, it's a bit more permanent and it's a bit more real than just saying something in a conversation. And I think that's key for us to remember. So yes, gossip is bad, and that was a great example. Thanks, guys. We'll move on. Okay, yes. What we normalize, we stop confessing. Sorry, just to bring it back to orthodoxy. These hidden sins can still take us away from our salvation. It's not a big sin. We haven't necessarily done anything wrong, like killed someone, but it's still a sin, and it's still worth confessing, and it's still worth taking seriously. Just to put that out there. Okay, next one. I'm not going to tell you what this sin is, but I want you to guess through these role plays. We've got 3. Yep. Next to the other side. And take it seriously. Yeah, you know. But can I have that?
Flip the page, this one.
Yeah, flip page. No.
Other side. Flip.
Yes, we haven't done.
Didn't do
Oh, the replay. Shall we do that? Do you want to do that? No.
Do you want to do it?
No.
Are you coming to the retreat next month?
Bruv, I don't think so, you know. It's kind of expensive. Honestly, I need to save.
But you just went on that trip last week.
That was different, bruv. This is about being smart with you never know what.
True, but you've been saying that for years.
I don't want to struggle later like my parents. Bring my parents. They had to work so hard for me and my sister. It says my brothers. Me and my sister. You know, I want to buy a house. I need to provide for my family.
Will you still contribute towards the food for this year?
Awkward. I mean, God understands my situation. He wouldn't want me to downgrade my lifestyle, would he?
Okay. Can we guess what sin this is? Hidden
Stage
sin.
direction. Awkward.
Greed of money.
Money.
Yeah? Okay. Let's do the next.
We need more volunteers for Sunday school.
Honestly, I can't. I worked too hard to be where I am. Sundays are my only rest.
What about just once a month?
Why is it always me? I already give enough. My time is valuable.
Bruv, we're all busy.
Yeah, but not everyone has sacrificed like I have. I
What's
know.
that? Is it? Pride? What is it? Still greed? Greed. Greed of time?
Selfishness.
Selfishness? We're not allowed to use that word. Comparison? Opposite of humility. Okay. That links to pride, yeah. But yeah, good one. Okay, let's carry on.
Maybe we can let others lead sometimes.
I just don't trust people to do things right.
But you're exhausted.
I know, but this is my responsibility.
What's that?
YAM.
Right. Bonamina.
Pride? What else?
It's a bonamina.
Sabunamina. No, I didn't say that.
It's literally in your notes. It says Baba Mina.
Go sit down, we're finished. Thank you, guys. Okay, that was all greed. All greed. First one was greed of money, obviously. Second one was greed of our time, so not sacrificing our time for God. And the third one was greed of pride or responsibility, hoarding control, right? So they're all examples of greed. Granted, they're not that obvious, but we'll go through why. So greed just isn't about money, okay? It's about possessiveness. And our Orthodox Church teaches exactly that. It's to do with attachment. Anything you're attached to can be considered greed. Anything you want and you don't want others to have can be considered as greed, basically. So let's just go through the examples. So Mark wants to save because he doesn't want to struggle. Is that good or bad? It's a good thing. What's happened here is greed has masked itself as wisdom. And that's why it's a hidden sin. And that's why it's dangerous for us, because saving in and of itself is not bad. But when you assume to be wise and you start to hoard your money and you start to not give, maybe for food or to donate or to not go on church trips, for example, what you start to do is tell yourself you're being wise because you're being prudent, but you're actually holding back from maybe something that's good for your salvation. And there's different to holding back your money from buying something, for example, or something you don't need. But holding back when you can donate or for anything that could deepen and develop your salvation, that could be considered greed, right? Second one, volunteers for Sunday school. That we said that was greed as well. So that's greed to do with what? Someone's time. So this person's saying, I've worked too hard to be where I am, and I don't have time to serve in Sunday school. Sunday is my only day of rest. So what are we doing there? We're holding on to our time, and we're saying, that's not for God, it's mine, right? I deserve it. And that's another example of how we're masking our attachment to worldly things, and we're masking that as like we deserve it. We're sort of putting a halo on our time, on our sort of selfishness, again, our attachment. So, not sharing space, credit, leadership, like in the third example, the person that didn't want to give up control, they're all examples of greed because they're all examples of attachment. Greed isn't about having a lot of things. It's just holding on tightly to what you do have. And like we said, our church teaches that greed, the opposite of greed is detachment. Before I go to that bit, I've got 2 stories, if someone can read for me. Anyone? Luke 12:15 to 21. I didn't put it up there. I thought we could just read it. I'm sorry.
Can you give me the reference again, please? Luke 12. 2.
21. No.
Ready?
Yep.
And he said to them, "Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses." Then he spoke a parable to them, saying, "The ground of a certain rich man yielded plentifully, and he thought within himself, saying, 'What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops?' So he said, 'I will do this. I will put down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'Fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided? So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God.'"
Okay, so this is the parable of the rich fool. What happens here? So he has a harvest, an abundant one. So this year it's a great harvest for him. He accumulates a lot of, does it say? Harvest. So I'm guessing produce. And instead of thinking, this is a blessing from God, let's liken it to us getting a promotion at work, or maybe coming into money, or maybe just finding money on the street. Instead of us thinking, this is a blessing from God, I didn't deserve this. This rich fool, he builds a barn bigger than the one he has to store more. So he's hoarding more. And St. Basil the Great says something really nice about this. The bread you store belongs to the hungry. The clothes you keep locked in your chest belong to the naked. So when God's blessed us, what should we be doing? Instead of hoarding it, we should think, maybe I didn't expect to come into this, or I don't deserve this. Let me give it, or let me share it. And that's what this parable is trying to say. When we store up treasures for ourselves, but we're not rich outwards with God, that's a form of greed. He made all his plans, his plans for a bigger barn, they didn't include God at all. And me personally, I sometimes see that, if work's going good, or if the month ends quite well for me, I think it's a blessing that I deserved. I worked hard, so I deserve this. But really, we should twist it around and think, no, God's done whatever he's done, he's blessed me, and let me share that outwardly a bit more than I would have otherwise. And we can connect this, we can connect it again to Mark in the role play, saying he needs to be responsible, right? We can connect it to him thinking he needs to save more, God understanding his situation. We can easily, make ourselves believe that this blessing we received is because God wants us to have it. This rich fool thought God wanted him to have an abundance of harvest that he could just store up, leave there, and not share with anyone else. So we need to be very cognizant of what we're thinking when we receive blessings, how we approach that situation, and what we do with it afterwards. Second one, Matthew 19, 16 to 22. Can someone read that, please? Anyone? Should I do it? Hurry up. Should I just
Now
explain it?
behold, no, wait.
Okay, go.
Now behold, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? So he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. He had said to him, Which ones? Jesus said, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Thank you. So we all know this one, right? I think he was a young man. Yeah, rich young man. He wants eternal life. He's done everything right, and he's asking Jesus genuinely, "What more can I do? I've done everything. I follow your commandments. I'm a good person. I've done everything." And what does Jesus pick on? The one thing that he's attached to, what we were just talking about. But in this instance, it's money, and the Bible explains that the man is sorrowful. Like he's sad. He's sad to let go of what he has. So he could be good. He could do all the other things, but that was the one thing in his life he couldn't. And like St. John Chrysostom says something nice as well. There's lots and lots of commentary on church fathers, by the way, and I wish I could have listed them all because they're similar to like worldly sayings that you'll get a meme on Instagram about it or something. But actually, a lot of it is similar to what the church fathers say, and it's so true and it's so good. But anyway, this one I picked. Not to share one's wealth with the poor is to steal from them and take away their livelihood. That's deep. That's like saying if you don't give, you've actually taken from them. And it's harrowing in on the fact that it doesn't belong to you in the first place. That's why you've stolen from them, because it belongs to God. So like this rich man, like us, when we think we deserve something, we don't. It's a blessing from God, and actually it doesn't belong to us, and he can take it away. He can take it away and he can give it to us. And when we don't give to others, we're actually stealing from them. I think that's really, really deep. And we can link that to the role play with, who was it? Which one of you was saying, I deserve this on my time? So Mina didn't want to serve in Sunday school. He's saying, I deserve this time. I work hard in the week. This is my time. Again, it's not yours. It belongs to God. And so in that instance, it wasn't about money, but it was greed of his own time, his own comfort. So we can deduce from this what? Being good, it just isn't enough, nor is being comfortable. God never told us he wants us to be comfortable, but he wants us to trust him. And by saving, an element of that is not trusting him. I'm not telling you not to save, by the way. But by saving too much, by hoarding, in essence, we're not trusting him, we're anxious. Mark was anxious about his future. He wanted to buy a house, he wanted to provide for his family. That anxiety takes away from that trust in God to know that he's got us and he will give us whatever we need. This was another church father, but I can't remember which one, I'm sorry. But greed isn't about what you have, it's about what you refuse to surrender. That's why it's not just about money. Okay, again, just to hone in on, just to summarize this, greed is not loud, so it's a hidden sin. We don't feel like we're being greedy, but there are many instances we've just described where we might be. And it whispers to us, I deserve this. Let me save just in case. Later, I'll do this later. It disguises mistrust as wisdom, as we said. We're saving, we think we're being prudent, but actually we're mistrusting that God's got our back. And Christ doesn't call us to be safe, like I said, or comfortable. He wants us to be free from any attachment. And that's why in our church, so like I said, in our orthodoxy faith, we liken greed to attachment quite a lot. And that's why fasting is specifically there to detach us from food. Food. Tithing, so giving donations, is a detachment from control over our own money, over our own future, where we think we have the wisdom to save. And silence, and this links to the gossip now, being silent sometimes is a detachment from ego. Okay. Shall we go through this? Okay. If someone can read for me 2 Samuel 24, we're not going to do all of it. We have time? It's quite long. Okay. Anyone want to read?
Do you want me to read just those last?
No, ignore mine. Mine are just highlighting.
Okay.
Read from the Bible. Do 1 to 4 and then we'll stop.
Okay. Again, the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, Go, number Israel and Judah. So the king said to Joab, the commander of the army who was with him, Now go throughout all the tribes of Israel from Dan to Beersheba and count the people, that I may know the number of the people. And Joab said to the king, Now may the Lord your God add to the people 100 times more than there are, and may the eyes of my lord the king see it. But why does my lord the king desire this thing? Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the army. Therefore Joab and the captains of the army went out from the presence of the king to count the people of Israel.
Okay, so for those not keeping up with this, what's happened here? King David, all he's done is he's ordered a census of his people. He wants to know how many people has he got, how many warriors has he got. That's all he's done. Okay, and I've highlighted that, number 2. He sent someone to go and do that census. That doesn't sound bad, but when you read into the commentary, actually our church fathers liken this to pride. So what he's done is he's now tempted to move his reliance and his trust from God, and he wants to know the number of people. So God knew his heart, God knew his intention, what he was doing, to the extent that even his right-hand man, the one that he sent to go and count, says to him, Now may the Lord your God add to the people 100 times more than they are, and may the eyes of my lord the king, so King David, see this. Why does my lord desire this? So he's saying to King David, why do you want to do this? What are you doing this for? You know that God's got your back. You know the Lord can add more or take away even. Why are you doing this? So even though it wasn't King David himself, it's not God, even his right-hand man knows something's wrong with this request. Whereas us reading it, we may just think, this is not dangerous, this is fine. And maybe King David of himself, he thought, I'm just counting, I'm not doing anything wrong. And continue. Yeah, please.
You are right, but we just finished a war. And by law at the time, anybody above 18, he was supposed to go to army. So he wanted to count, see how much, like that sort of pride, how much people do I have, how much warriors do I have, how many soldiers do I have. That's why he wanted to count them and get these men to second.
Perfect, yeah. Did you hear that? Yeah.
I actually want to say that again.
So the census was never about just, I want to know how many people are in the land.
Yeah.
He finished few war at the time, and he wanted to know how many soldiers do I have now. So any men, I think, at the time men who are over, I believe, 18, they automatically are there enrolled to the army service. So he wanted to know like how many soldiers do I have, so in a prideful way, and rather than relying on God in the war, so he wanted to rely on himself.
You want me to crack on verse 5?
I was going to skip 5,
Okay.
but no, go for it. We've got time.
Up to you.
Should we just go for it? I was just going to skip it because it just explains how they start to... No, go on.
From where?
From 5.
Okay. Tell me when to stop. And they crossed over the Jordan and camped in Aroer, on the right side of the town, which is in the midst of the ravine of Gad, and towards Jazer. Then they came to Gilead and to the land of Tahtim Hodshi. They came to Dan Jan and around to Sidon, and they came to the stronghold of Tyre and to all the cities of the Hivites and the Canaanites. Then they went out to South Judah as far as Beersheba. So when they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. Then Joab gave the sum of the number of the people to the king. And there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men who drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. And David's heart condemned him after he had numbered the people. So David said to the Lord, I have sinned greatly in what I have done. But now I pray, O Lord, take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have done very foolishly. Now when David arose in the morning, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Gad, David saying, Go and tell David, Thus says the Lord, I offer you 3 things. Choose one of them for yourself, that I may do it to you. So Gad came to David and told him, and he said to him, Shall 7 years of famine come to you in your land? Or shall you flee 3 months before your enemies while they pursue you? Or shall there be 3 days' plague in your land? Now consider and see what answer I should take back to him who sent me.
Thank you. So what's happened here? He's done his census, he's gone, he's counted, and the Bible lists just how vast, just how much numbers he has. And then in verse 10, and David's heart condemned him after he had numbered the people. So after he had done the sin, then he realizes, oops, like this was wrong. He realizes what he was doing. God knew all along right? He realizes what he's done, and straight away, and that's key, right? As soon as he's realized, he doesn't push the blame on anyone else. He doesn't try to deflect. He goes straight to God. I have sinned greatly in what I have done. But now I pray, O Lord, take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have done foolishly. So he's repenting straight away. What does God do? God gives him 3 choices. So God's relentless, right? He's like, nope, you've sinned. I know you're sorry, but 3 choices. And if you look, the common theme with all 3, it affects his people. And a lot of the church fathers liken this to the seriousness of leadership. So King David was the one that sinned. It's nothing to do with the people. We can say it's unfair. Why is God punishing the people in all these 3 different scenarios when really he should punish David? They haven't done anything wrong. But that's how serious we take leadership. And that's an example of how serious God takes leadership. And some of the church fathers even go so far as to liken that to Jesus, and Jesus having to die for our sins, right? He did nothing wrong, but he had to pay the consequences for our sins. King David here ends up losing a lot of these people because he chooses, did we get onto that? Not yet. No, let's carry on. 10, no. Yeah, the plagues.
Yeah. So Gad came to David and he said, 7 years of
Next one.
Yep. Verse 14. And David said to Gad, I am in great distress. Please let us fall into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, but do not let me fall into the hand of man. So the Lord sent a plague upon Israel from the morning till the appointed time, from Dan to Beersheba. 70,000 men of the people died. And when the angel stretched out his hand over Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord relented from the destruction, and said to the angel who was destroying the people, It is enough, now restrain your hand. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite.
Okay, we'll stop there. So we'll jump to 17 quickly. So David, again, he repents. Surely I have sinned. Let your hand, I pray, be against me and my father's house. So even now, King David is saying, on behalf of his people, they didn't do anything wrong. Punish me. And he's taking that sacrifice for his people. Again, another example of how seriously we should take leaders, how seriously leadership should be taken when they're in charge of others, like servants, like us. If we go to 16, I love this bit because this bit shows an example of God's mercy. So God already said, he's given him 3 choices. King David's picked the plague, and God said, okay, fine, I'm sending this plague. He starts wiping out these people that King David had so much trust in the beginning, right? And it's God from himself that puts forward mercy and stops the angel. He himself has enough. He himself thinks, okay, this is it now. You face the consequences of your sin, and now I'm going to stop. You've learnt your lesson, and I'm going to stop. So God's mercy is what triumphed over his own judgment. And I've made this link, so it might be wrong, but I think we can link this to the whole gossip scenario, right? And this is another example of why God tells us not to judge, because he knows when to judge and when to bring forward his mercy, and that's the beauty of our God, and that's the beauty of his love. Us, when we judge, we can go too far, like we did in the role plays. We can think we're doing it out of concern or out of love, but actually we don't know the true meaning of that. And God displays how he knows the true meaning of that and why he's the only one capable of it. That's my link to gossip. So yeah, let's go back to King David. He didn't commit a scandal. He didn't do anything per se wrong, but God knew his heart, and God knew he trusted in his numbers and not God. So he masked his pride in that scenario as his responsibility. He's thinking, I'm a king. I need to know if I can go to war again. I need to know if everyone that's supposed to be a warrior for me has actually put their hands up and become a warrior. He's thinking to himself, I'm doing the right thing, right? I'm a king. I need to make sure I can protect my people. But God knew his heart, and God knew that that was his pride being masked as what he thought he was being responsible about. Does that make sense? And then he repented, like we said, but this repentance, okay, it was enough for God, but it wasn't enough to stop the consequence. He had to feel the consequence of his actions. Part of that was taking the sacrifice of his own people. That was it. I think that was it. Sorry, my notes are all over the place. Yeah, fine. Yeah, that was it. So that was paramount to understand why God's judgment and his mercy are what I think quite beautiful and given to God and not for us. But yes, just to end with, I don't know if the role plays or the presentation made any one of us feel bad. It wasn't intended that way. It was not intended to be judgmental. It was intended to highlight the conversations we have in our church most of the time, in our community, at work maybe. And these hidden sins, what we talked about, attachment to money, time, greed, in essence, and the gossip and the pride, they're not necessarily something that make us bad people or bad Christians, but they make us human. And they're very common, they're very normal, and that's why we're human Christians in need of healing above all else. So let us, after this talk, examine our speech, our attachments, our ego, our conduct, and remember that we are children of God. Thank you. And then I open it up for questions. Anything you didn't like that I did, said, not didn't like, didn't agree with, or that you did, comments on gossip, can it ever be healthy? Feel free. Play devil's advocate.
I feel like good gossip is okay.
What is an example of good gossip?
Like, you gave the example of Abu Namina's talk and how he made good points. I think it's okay to reflect on a talk.
What if the conversation turned and someone else said, you thought his talk was good, I didn't. I liked his talk yesterday.
I think it's okay. I think it's an opinion rather than gossiping. Like, oh, some sermons we enjoy, some sermons we don't enjoy, but that speaker giving. So it's just the content or the way it or
So if Abuna was there, would you say it to his face? Would you say it to
Sorry?
his face? If Abuna was there, would you still have that conversation?
I
Saying
would.
it was good.
If it was good, 100%. If it was bad, I'll go to Abuna and I would say, I liked your talk, but I think you could have done this better.
Okay. I think, let's see, I don't think there is a good gossip for a number of reasons. I think if you focus on the talk, that's how it should be and that's how it should stop, regardless of who is giving the talk. So I can say the talk of today was lovely. It doesn't matter. I didn't say Maggie's talk was lovely. But the second I refer to the talk as it is Maggie's, it automatically and indirectly reflect on the person. So I can talk about the actual sermon or the object or the I can see someone outside is arguing. I would say arguing in front of the church is not really a good thing. I can't say Mina and Mark when they were arguing outside the church. That was the good thing. The second I refer to the action or the talk or the object to the person, I'm involving the person. I'm almost labeling the person. So that's why you can't say the talk of someone. The second thing about the good talk, which is or the good gossip, we don't see this a lot, but you'll be surprised when someone says something like, for instance, have you seen Abuna X? He's a saint. He does miracles. He does Misharif A. The thing that we don't know sometimes is the devil ends up being an envious creature. And if he fights Abuna X one-fold, he will actually put more warfare against him because he's a good example now. So all of a sudden, even though I don't mean for Abuna to struggle or that person to struggle, I can say, oh, Mark is amazing. And Mark is not there. Lovely. I'm not saying anything bad about Mark. But the second I'm saying that, I'm almost like nudging the devil. This is your next target. Go for him. So I would rather that we don't speak about people behind their backs at all. And if we become very subjective to the actual thing we talk about.
I just ChatGPT this quick, but I knew there was something in the Bible about flattery, and even though it can be considered good, so it just brought up I don't even know. It says Psalm 11:2. I need to check. They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor, with flattering lips and a double heart they speak. So I think this is implying that you say one thing but you mean another. But I know there is a theme. Proverbs, yes, it is a proverb. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. And I think that's similar to what Abuna is saying. We think flattery is okay, but there is a line and there is a time when it's better to just not comment. On the half of the devil, yes, being envious, but also I think, like we were saying, someone around you might disagree. Someone around you, you might cause them to feel envious, and that's when it becomes bad. Or even instilling pride, like if you say Abuna's a saint, maybe when he consistently hears that, Abuna starts to believe it and he falls into pride because he starts to think, oh, I'm such a good Abuna, I'm so... Any Abuna. Likewise with girls, you keep saying, oh, you're so pretty. Maybe that starts to drill into... So maybe unintentionally you've triggered pride in someone that maybe you didn't mean to.
Can I give an example about the talk? So I could say, oh, just, that was really interesting about King David numbering the soldiers, because I always wondered about why that was a sin, but actually he was pride, he wanted to show off how many soldiers he's got. And then you could go and tell you about your opinion of the same story, and then we're not talking about any humans, like anyone who's here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say gossip is not good in any instance, but let's see. Any more examples of how it could be good?
If I may add that if we look at it from the one body perspective, and if we look at it from, St. Paul says to the Ephesians, you belong to one another. So you are one body. So can my eye talk about my finger if it hurts? Or will the eye sympathize with finger if it hurts? So if we look at it from this perspective, there is nothing called gossip altogether. There are more edification and building one another. And that's why he said, as a one body, let no corrupt word come out of your mouth, but whatever that is appropriate for edification. You see? So the conversation will turn around altogether if we think that we belong to one another, rather than me and I'm self-centered. No, I'm putting myself for the other. That's a different perspective altogether if we consider gossip. That's all.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the church fathers said, like, to speak truth without love, that's judgment, right? You say a fact, but there's no love behind it. You've fallen into judgment.
This is all fine and dandy, but what's a genuine, like, practical sort of, because it's just so easy. It's too easy. I can't think of a phone call I've had with anyone where they haven't mentioned someone else's name. And
Same.
obviously I have. But
Same.
I can't think of I cannot think of a practical way.
I think, oh, sorry, I thought of this. I need help with answers, but I think one thing, I was thinking this same thing, and I was thinking, I have lots of conversations about other people. Sometimes it's like the foundation of my chat, and sometimes it will be like with my husband or my sister, and I'm like, oh, it's not bad, we're not judging. I need someone to talk to, and at least these people, like, I can confide in them, and it's still wrong. And I start to think, and I don't know where I got this from, but I just started to think about, why don't we think of topics that are nothing to do with other people? Why don't, when we call someone, I'm talking about some shoes I saw in Zara or something on the telly, why don't I just put an extra effort in my thought process and think of topics? And maybe it will become easier. When I'm at work, instead of talking about what my manager said, I can just talk about the weather, something small, but I think with practice, we reframe our brain and we retrain ourselves to think of other things.
That can be one of them, absolutely, which is called substitution. Rather than actually think about other people, you just substitute it by talk about, you hear about what the Prime Minister said today or something.
That's gossip.
No, it's not.
It's public news.
And you're entitled,
But
both
is he
of you,
there?
you're entitled to talk about it.
Well, anyway, but the other thing is speak about the action, like I said, not the person. You can always say, oh, like, I heard about X, Y, and Z, what do you think? we don't have to really talk about the person. Because the second you speak about the person, you're inevitably going to gossip about them. And sometimes, actually I would say most times, you are ruining their reputation without knowing. Like you've heard one side of a story. Maybe Mark was having an argument with someone, and then Mark raised his voice and became angry. And I go home, tell Mary, my son, oh my God, Mark today had this X, Y, and Z. What did I do apart from I relayed the information, yes, but more importantly, I ruined his reputation. Now I have to go back again and repaint his image to someone else. But if I avoid the same, imagine one of the servants today had a bad argument and raised their voice. That on its own is fine, because I need to vent this, I need to get it out of my chest, but without mentioning names.
Yeah,
That cannot be a cough.
Mention what happened, but not the person. And then we put it on ourselves not to ask, who was it? Tell me who it was. Maybe we don't do that. And we make a promise to ourselves to not do that. And then if we can't not talk about people, just talk about the action and guess what happened today? Don't put the person. Maybe that's how we start. I honestly don't know. I didn't go that far in my talk. So I need your help. Okay, why? Okay, why? Why can't we have fellowship without gossip? King David. No, excuse me. I actually had a slide in here about who gossips more, men or women, and I started to look at statistics, and actually 50-50. Do you know why? Because men's form of gossip is, Pia played so good at football yesterday. That's gossip. We just said it. A good thing can lead to that. Another example of men's gossip is like, so-and-so got this promotion at work. Because it's leading questions. So these comments, like you said, so-and-so played good at football, someone else will say, but so-and-so played bad. Or last week he didn't play good. Or do you know that he pays for his leg that makes him good at football or something? It just opens up the door for other things. So actually it's 50-50, and that's statistically proven. Just don't talk about people. Just say that match was great. I don't know.
Curiosity, was that statistic, did it come from a female source?
Came from ChatGPT.
My experience, that's
It is, but men's form of gossip is different. And like I said, we don't see it as gossip, but it is. Because you're talking about people that aren't there.
We're still online. We're still online.
What did I say?
That's okay. What did he
I'm
say?
going to challenge you. Shall I challenge you?
Yeah?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong in praising someone. It's up to that person if they want to take it. Yeah, you can say to them, but you can also say, like, I could go now and be like, oh, Maggie's talk was sick today. Is that going to also open for someone to be like,
It
not
might.
really?
Why not?
If she's there, absolutely. But if she's not there, like I said, it's not, the idea behind it is what am I doing by saying this?
I can say, oh, but she spoke on this, and I learnt this,
So
and blah, blah, blah.
being factual.
Yeah.
Yeah, being factual is fine, but it has your opinion on it as well. And that's where it becomes...
So then how do you go about, let's say, if it's a common practice, I don't know, within your friendship group, and we all know each other, and you kind of do it in an endearing way where you're like, oh, you know, I love blah, 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 but she's just a little bit slow. And then if you're, just as a, but in a way, it's not really gossip. It's kind of just like, you're just saying something between people that know that person very well and wouldn't.
So then why do you need to
misjudge
say
them
it?
in a way?
If that friendship group know that Maggie's slow, why did you need to mention it?
Why did you say?
I just thought of my name. Who am I going to close?
Anyway.
But why would you need to mention it? Like, I get your point. You're just saying it casually in conversation.
No,
but
like
what
if
do you
you're
gain
just
by it?
having a conversation about something that's happened, and then you're just being like,
So
Then
because Maggie's slow, this happened.
Then describe the action. You don't have to describe the whole thing. Like, you don't have to say that Maggie's slow. You can say, I was driving today and the person in front of me was just really annoying, whatever.
Or maybe call Maggie and say, look, because you're so slow, I really got upset today. You did this, this, this. And maybe just don't say it to anyone else.
I think a good way of thinking about it is if you said something about someone, would you mind if they were standing there when you said it?
no, I wouldn't mind.
You're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah, and do you know what? That's key, because we're not embarrassed to do things knowing God sees and knows everything. But we're embarrassed if I was standing there and you were talking about me. Like, we should be more ashamed of ourselves to know that God knows our heart, knows our words, knows everything. He's the ultimate judge. So whether I'm there or not shouldn't stop you doing something wrong. It should be the fact that you know God knows and sees everything.
I realised as well in your role plays, the language that you used, because when you say, I'm not judging, you're going to be judging. It's the same when
no
you say,
offense.
I'm not, no offense, but you're
being offensive.
And I think that there's a fine line when the certain language that you use and how you manipulate it in a sense where you're coming off like you're concerned, but yet you actually are, whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously, judging that person or allowing someone else to judge that person, or it's like open for interpretation for someone to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that person, why is that person like always late, or why is that person not there, or why is that person up to this just for you mentioning it? So I think in terms of the language that you use as well, I think that's definitely key. Like if you, if it is genuine concern, as opposed to you're
genuine
being a bit
concern
messy.
would mean you would pray straight away. You would leave wherever you are, whoever you're with, you'd go into a corner, you'd be like, God, I can't believe Peter's not here. I'm so worried about him. Please. That's genuine concern. But concern to just tell other people, what do you want them to do? Like, it doesn't make sense. Do you think their prayers mean more than yours? Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve?
So how do you go about if someone's doing that, potentially, and it's someone that you know, to just
I think we say, look, if we care about Maggie, let's go talk to Maggie. Or why don't we all just go and pray about it? You just shut the conversation down. That's what I think we should do. Start doing. And I know half our conversations are based on other people. I'm not saying mine's not, it is. But can we reframe our mind, and can we just think a little bit more, a bit harder? It takes more effort to just think of another topic or reword something. That's all I'm saying. But I agree, the language.
May I share a verse, please?
Please.
Yeah. In Psalm 19 it says this. That's David saying this. Yeah, David, who said that God said that his heart is like my own heart. Okay? This is what David is saying. David is saying to God every day, and he's praying and saying, Lord, can you please protect me from the presumption sins and let them not have power over me. The thing is, he couldn't do it himself, so he prayed that God lifts it up from him. So, presumption sins, hidden sins, like pride and all that you talked about. So, I realized that I'm doing this. I think rather than worrying about the group round about me, I'll start with myself to pray that God releases me from this. Otherwise, it will have dominion over me. And if everyone looks internally to oneself, then it will disappear. Because by His mighty power, God will release us from this. He will free us from this. Yes?
Yeah, I love it.
And then everyone will not worry, he is gossiping. I am not gossiping. I am not taking part. I'm not contributing to this. And then it stops. Otherwise, the Old Testament says, St. Paul says, you'll devour one another. You'll eat. In the Old Testament, it says, you're eating some flesh alive. So if I'm talking about you behind your back, I'm eating your flesh alive. So it's important to pray with David and say, Lord, I gossip. Lord, can you release me from this? Because it can have dominion over me. Okay. So that's Psalm 19, verse 13. Okay? Thank you.
Other questions, guys? No, say it.
So you talked about these are the sins that we might not think are sins. So we don't know what we don't know. So how do we get the discernment to be able to identify that something we might have not thought was a sin is actually a sin?
Psalm 19.
Yes. One of the church fathers said something really interesting. Do you know what he said? He said the quickest prayer that can be answered is this one. Lord, show me the darkness that is within me. And He will show you. All right? So Lord, I don't know what is wrong with me, what's in my heart. Then the Holy Spirit will point you to the right direction. Say, this is where you're going wrong, this is not. This is the quickest answered prayer. Yeah.
There's another one, Lord, I don't know if it's in the, let my heart bleed for what? Yeah, something like that. So we feel how he feels. That's another one. I like that.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
Thank you.
Guys, I have a genuine question for you. Serious, genuine question from the bottom of my heart. I'd like to understand. Why are so many of us sat at the back? I don't understand. Is it? Are we on? No, just come to the front. Why am I sat so far at the back? Like, we're literally on the last row. It's crazy. Feel free to disturb us. Come to the front when you walk in. I'm very glad